in to Athletics LLC with Lamar, Lucius, Big League Chew, and my man Clyde, and the governor. You're about to be schooled in all things track and field. This is experience. Yes, sir. We are talking past, present, future. Y'all listen up. Let's go.
We're recording, gentlemen. Are we ready? Set, go. Just kidding. Welcome to Athletics LLC. We'll have another fun episode for you, promise. We are missing a child this week. Unfortunately, Sir Lucius has some business to tend to, but we promise it wasn't because of any crazy shenanigans from the birthday. He actually has business to tend to. So before we forget, happy birthday to Sir Lucius. He's 36 years young. I'll invert the number so it sounds better.
That's right.
So love it, love it, love it, love it. So as we get started with the evening, I love the topics that we came up with this week because we're kind of going back to our roots a little bit and giving some advice and some credence to how we all got here in our current places. So before we get started, Clyde, how are you this evening, sir?
I'm still in my office.
As your eyes start to roll backwards a little bit.
See now people understand when married men get left single, we just bury ourselves in work.
Mm-hmm.
Who wants to be at home? Who wants to be in an empty house by themselves? Nobody.
Now, I like how you just married me all of a sudden. I am
No, you didn't see that.
Unmarried.
You didn't see that. I started this. I said,
I understand. Well played, sir.
You know, cohabitating, whatever words you want to use.
That's right. Common law. Wow.
You're also getting a what's that called? A judicial education.
That's right.
On common law practices.
That's right.
No.
Governor,
as my grandfather used to say back in the day, shacking up.
What is happening right now? What is going on?
All right, we're done. We're done on Clyde for right.
My last one, DA used to call it playhouse. Quit playing house.
Wow.
Anyways, Governor, cardiac roadrunner, how are you today, sir?
Oh man, it's a crazy time to be a roadrunner. I mean, what can I say? I left the football game. I had 3 recruits in. We left with 2 minutes and 23 seconds left in the game, and we had just scored a touchdown. And we're thinking, okay, we're going to be all right. We get to the parking lot, and by the time I get in the car, North Texas has driven down and scored a touchdown. We get the ball back with 1:30, right? No timeouts. And we ended up at 4th and 2 at midfield. I don't know how our wide receiver had the wherewithal to reach his hand over to get the first down. We're at 36 seconds. So once the whistle goes, the clock goes, right? So we had to, it's one of those deals, like, exactly what's about to happen. QB throws a ball way too high over the middle. Our 280-pound tight end one-hands the ball, snatches it out of the air. We get down to the 10-yard line. We run down. We hands the ball to the ref, and we were thinking, okay, we're going to spike it to stop the clock to set up a play. No, we went straight in, got in the set, end zone, deep end zone. Our top wide receiver jumps up, catches the ball. 10 seconds left in the game. Unbelievable. So yeah, I'm still recovering. I probably watched that video, I don't know, about 30 times. It's just crazy times. So that's why I have cardiac roadrunners as my name.
That's funny. I mean,
Love it.
Same. TCU is liking to have delayed starts at this point. Welcome to the game, fellas.
Yes.
Been nice. Thanks for
Yeah.
showing up. Lamar from afar, how are you, sir?
Other than my laggy Wi-Fi, I'm good. I've unfortunately grown accustomed to waking up at 3:45 and getting in my car or a car at 4 o'clock and driving towards an airport.
Well, welcome to adulthood, sir. Thanks for
Wow.
joining the party.
It's like the pro career part 2. That's what that is.
That's what it is. It's
Yeah.
definitely pro career.
How many
Pro
5
career
a.m.
part
6
3
a.m. flights have our agents put us on 4-hour layovers that they just neglected to tell us about,
No.
stuff like that.
No.
Yeah.
Yes.
The
The worst for
real-
me,
real
I don't
quick-
know what it was for you, Lamar, but the worst for me was I was going from, I was flying to Linz, and I get to Frankfurt Airport at 6:30 in the morning.
Oof.
Guess when my flight to Linz was?
the next day.
My flight to Linz was at 6 o'clock that evening.
Oh,
Yeah.
I spent 12 hours.
Yeah.
Like I got on a train, just sat there in the town square and watched Frankfurt come to life. It's you just figure it out. You figure it out. I'm trying to imagine like today's athletes having to navigate something like that, where an agent just buys the cheapest ticket, puts you on a plane, you get over there, and you're just like, what the?
They have an
Like, here's-
anxiety attack in the airport.
Oh yeah, because like my worst story for sure, the anxiety attack and the full-fledged sit down, plop down, cross your legs, and just rock back and forth and sing kumbaya for today's kids. This is what happened. My flight gets booked. Agent tells me you're flying into London. You got a relatively tight window. You're not going to be on the ground very long. You got an hour and 20 minutes, and then you fly out to, I think I was going someplace in Germany. Okay, sounds good. Something tells me to double check my ticket. I flew in to Heathrow and out of Gatwick. For those of you,
I've done that.
Those
I've
are
done
two
that.
different airports
Absolutely.
that are on opposite sides
I'll
of
say they're not close.
No.
an hour and 20 to, because you got to get your bags. So to go through security, get your bags, go secure a taxi at that time, no Uber, right? And get across town through traffic, and then get back through security and check your bags.
That's right.
You're asking to be Merlin's wizard.
Absolutely.
That is one of 2 times in my entire life I've ever run in an airport. And I literally dove through the door as the lady was attempting to close the door of my flight, because I was like, I am not getting stranded in Europe trying to fly standby. That's not happening. Yeah. So for sure, today's athlete, that is probably a panic attack and a full-fledged sit-in. Like, someone is going to fix this.
Yes.
And redundant and silly questions like, why does London have 2 airports?
Why didn't anyone tell me?
Right. For the same reason that
right?
New York has two airports, Dallas has 2 airports.
Exactly.
I feel like
LA
London
has like
3.
4. They
couldn't-
may
I
have
couldn't-
3 now.
I couldn't figure out that LHR and LGW are 2 totally different things. It just never really it didn't register.
Yep.
That's funny. Well, on to, see, that's like stuff people would never know. So
Yeah, no question.
there's your extra credit, y'all.
The worst part is like the governor said, it's stuff that you wouldn't know as an athlete until it happens to you.
Yes.
Right. I mean, it was my first time flying to London. Luckily, I
Yes.
knew that they had 2 airports.
Yeah.
That was happenstantial.
Clyde, to let you know, there are 6 major airports in London now.
There you go.
London City, London Gatwick, London Heathrow, London Luton, London Stansted, and London Southend.
Yeah, them last 3 I didn't know nothing about, but the other ones I definitely
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and pretty much the major airlines in the States fly in and out of Heathrow for the most part,
Yes.
and there's some Gatwick. For the
Mhm.
most
Oh.
part, the major airlines don't fly out of the other four. But if your agent books your ticket, there's no guarantee that you're going to be on a major airline.
Absolutely.
Now,
so
I could tell y'all my Sweden story, but we trying to keep the show.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. We've
We'll have to have
enlightened
a
the audience
blooper.
enough.
We'll have a
You
blooper
know?
show. So, and definitely we don't want to test the Red Roof in Wi-Fi because it's already a little glitchy. So we'll keep moving forward. But there's a couple hot topics in regards to institutions, NCAA youth institutions, and things that how we're changing certain things. One of them being NIL, name, image, and likeness. So within the scopes that you all are in, respectively, how has it changed the game in our sport?
In our sport is the interesting piece of this, right? I ain't gonna lie to you. I don't think NIL has done much of anything in our sport. And I would love to be proven wrong in that regard. But all it's really done is give the powers that be the first world problems, if we will. If Sir Lucius was here, we would tease him about this, right? It's just given them another layer of separation that they can tout and promote and probably in some cases use, right? To further separate the gap between the haves and the have-nots. But I don't know of too many track and field athletes, from a recruiting perspective that are signing major NIL deals. I'm sure it's coming. I'm sure it'll probably start in Gainesville. But I haven't felt that piece of it yet. But it's a great marketing tool, and it's a great recruiting push. I've actually been quite impressed with the way our campus has handled it, creating the marketplace that they did, right? But I think the transfer portal is a much bigger deal of changing the game. I really haven't felt a huge impact from NIL in our sport yet.
I will piggyback off of you, Clyde, and I think the operative word is yet. I don't think it has changed the game in track and field yet, but it's coming.
Sure.
I have not, just like you, I have not had a situation where, I've been told that, sorry, I can't come to your school because I'm getting X amount of dollars from X program. And, this money has been bequeathed to me because I am such X, Y, and Z athlete. And this was promised to me to sign with the school. I have not experienced that as yet.
Right.
I mean, literally what I'm dealing with is, the extra cost of attendance, the All-Star money, that's where the separation is as far as I'm concerned. And once, I'm having a conversation and a young man or a young woman tells me that they're getting X amount of money on top of, their scholarship, hey, I say, hey, you have a nice life, it's awesome. Have fun with that, make sure you invest, well, so you can buy your house as soon as you graduate and, and all of that. So, but no, I have not, I do not think that NIL has taken hold in track and field yet. But it's going to take some very enterprising young men and young women and some very enterprising athletic departments. And how many athletic departments around the country see value in that right now when the battle is raging right now in football, where, it's interesting that you brought this question up, Lamar, because what we're seeing right now is we're seeing where NIL has failed miserably.
There is that.
Oh,
there is
and
that.
I think it's coming to the fore now where congratulations, you just signed, one of the greatest classes, but they're still freshmen. And they still time. And they still have, it's still going to be 2 to 3 years before this actually pays off. And we're watching programs literally implode now because of the amount of money and resources that were generated to put these signing classes together. And nobody thought about the fact that, from when you talk about the portal, if school X gets 5 portal kids that are bona fide killers, right? That actually has more right now positive moves than 30 freshmen that you just bought, right? Let's call it what it is, that still don't know how to play this game. It's, let's call it what it is. College football is a man's game now. And people aren't really paying attention. You're dealing with, QBs and, D linemen that are 23, 24, 25 years old now, and that still means something. So, but yeah, that's my thought on NIL and track and field.
Well, this is actually awesome because this very rarely happens where there's like literal opposite sides of the coin. I will say this, by definition, NIL is a first world problem. Like literally by definition, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're not having name, image, and likeness conversations at the mid-major group of 5 for the most part level, right? Like because that is probably not going to be the separator between you and another group of 5 school. Like that's probably not it. So for the most part, we are talking about first world problems and issues. But I will tell you what I have seen, which is interesting because I'm not directly a college coach anymore. But I have seen it play out in a couple ways. One, NIL money is the great parachute. You have spent all the money. You spent all the portal money. You have no money left. Absolute banger comes open in the portal. You now have a way to still get said kid. And I've seen it happen, right? Like we are out of money. Make a phone call to the collective. The collective says, well, we can't have that. Where is this athlete going to go if we don't get them? In conference, or in conference. Oh, that will never do. Give them the bag. They will come here. Like we'll cover all the costs of the school and then they can still like, I don't know what the rules are, Austin money, whatever they can't get that they should get, we'll cover that too.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, there you go. There's NIL to the rescue, right? Right. If your 12.6 isn't enough or your 18 isn't enough and you have a collective and the right kid pops up, bang, right? There's your money. It has definitely changed international recruiting at the high end because that's the skirt around, right? Like you can't sign NIL deals for international kids. However, the international kid can sign an NIL deal at home. If the company is global, the money can still end up in that country, and NIL deal can still be signed, and Bob's your uncle, right? But the third part, and a part that I have found very, very interesting, there is now a very silent battle going on campuses. Your top end donors have money that they literally can set on fire. It doesn't matter. But your mid-level donors, these are still really important people, right? They put money into programs and they help, if you need to get a pole vault pit or you need to, like items, if that makes any sense, not buildings, right? Now there is a war being raged because in the past, you knew you had a guy or a girl that you could tab for like that special item. The problem is that person has now already been tabbed by collective X, collective Y, and is already like in the pockets of 3 athletes. And because he or she is a mid-level donor, there's no more money.
Yeah.
So now there's a small silent battle going between, does the donor give the money to the athletes, or does the donor give the money to the program? So I find it very interesting. Yes, it is a first world problem at this point. And I think these things that I'm talking about these wars are being waged on probably about 12 to 20 campuses currently. But to you guys' point, if you pay attention, everything that happens at the Power 5 level happens at the Group of 5 level 1 year, 2 years later. Everything,
Yeah.
right? So it's coming, right? And so and believe me, if it happens in other sports, it gets to track a year, maybe 2 years later. So I'm telling you this, what's going on in baseball is literally the wild, wild west.
Oh,
Like
sure.
there are schools that are, because you can buy players in baseball and it'd be more effective than buying football players that are freshmen.
Yeah.
Right. Because now you're talking about buying kids out of the draft. Like I watched that happen where a kid is being offered a $200,000 signing bonus, right? Doesn't think that's enough. So the school gives them 125 NIL for them to be on campus for 3 years. And they're still going to get at the very least the bag that they were initially offered, and more than likely a bigger bag. So ostensibly, if you get 125 for 3 years, you got $375,000 already. So we're already giving you more money than you were going to sign for. And we don't have a draft and track, but that's going to happen. There's going to be a high school kid considering pro or not in track. Obviously, there aren't a ton of those. We get that, right? But somebody's going to decide, well, if we give this kid enough money, he'll come to school for a year or two. She'll come to school for a year or two.
There's one on the horizon.
100%, and I was just not going to go there, but yes, like for sure, there is one that is going to happen, and it's coming
this year. So
it's coming.
I read this question, saw it in a different light than you all did, but I'm going to come back to your light too. Thinking about how it's changed the game in our sport in regards to the athletes and where they're signing, because the markets are different in different areas.
Sure.
So
Right. Right.
So the ability to sign different contracts, the ability to have different vision or visibility, changes the game as to money that can be attained at the G5 level. Just speaking specifically, right, on that part. Thinking about NIL and how it changes from the adult standpoint. We use NIL as a part of our recruiting process as education. The education that we provide for our student athletes and how we're going to jump ahead of it and not let you fall through the cracks and things of that nature has given us a definite leg up in regards to that aspect. We have lost a kid because of additional NIL money. We got lost a couple kids. So that, it's not the 100,000s, 200,000s, but it's money. And, unfortunately, we are used to the pennies already. So it wasn't pennies, but it was large enough.
And that's the point, right? Like right now in track, it's all perception and mouthpiece.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And listen, if you can talk that talk and sell the vision of the possibility of what that can be,
mm-hmm.
the better recruit.
No, well, not even what it could be. They're getting the money locked in.
No, I get that, but what I'm saying is it's not a comparable to football. Right? It's not a straight situation where kids are being purchased
right
by the collective to be the next UTSA sprint star, right? Like that's not happening yet. It's easy for an NIL collective comparative to football, right? It's easy to go to the collective and find an extra $1,000 because in our nickel and dime world, that'll be enough, right?
Yeah.
Any little carrot that you can use to separate works. Like we're G5, right? But we're one of the few schools in G5 that's doing Alston. We're one of the few schools in G5 that has a NIL collective, right? Published, advertised, right? And so you can, it's more, for me, it's more so if you're here, this is what is possible versus UTSA offered you 3,000 more bucks on the side through the collect. Like it's coming.
Yeah.
It's absolutely going to be there because the first time that big school X feels like they cost them a national champion because they, because they couldn't deliver the collective. What I would love to know is how many universities, track programs that have a collective on the campus, off the campus, that have a collective connected to the campus, even take calls for track and field right now. Because, you know what I mean? Like that, not a priority.
Yeah. And I will say this, like another way that it's, again, these things are small and subtle right now, but they won't be, right? Is that when you get your money through the track program, it's NCAA regulated and there's dates as to when you're going to get paid every month or every half semester, however it is, right? When you get your money from a collective, they're going to they make a decision when the money's coming, right? It may not be the first week of school.
Yeah.
Right? It may be one of those deals like, look, you're going to get your whole year's worth of money all at once, but it's going to be like December 1st. So you're going to have to figure it out till then.
Yeah.
Like the changes are going to come fast and furious to track because they're going to come late, right? Whenever the trickle down happens, it happens fastest at the end. And we'll be one of the, we'll be in that group of sports that, okay, now, now there's NIL deals for, at every school, at every level, and yada, yada, yada. And it's going to be like, brrr.
Well, the thing that I'm curious about is, well, I'll put it to you like this. What I'm curious about is how many schools actually see value in having a winning track and field team.
Yeah.
And, whether they're willing to put their money where their mouth is, especially if it starts to go into becoming a bidding war, like which institutions are going to be at the forefront of that? And I mean, what we're doing right now, I mean, it's pretty clear that there's certain schools that have a lot more individual talent in volume than other schools. There is no question about it. And we could probably name the top 5 right now off the top of our head.
There ain't no probably to that.
Right? So it's becoming more of a not who can you bring, but how many unbelievable, athletes can you bring to your program? And how do you afford that? How do you go past, or how do you spread that money and add NIL to it to be able to have that group of athletes when you step off the bus? I mean, now you have a backup to the backup to the backup to the backup, right? And I think that's where we're headed right now. I mean, and it's pretty clear to me which schools are at the forefront of that.
I definitely agree with that. And here's NIL represents to me in our sport opportunity, because at the end of the day, NIL is basically an advertising function, right? So if I'm small school X, but I'm based in Chicago, but I'm based in New York, NIL is the greatest equalizer I could ever have, because on reputation, I can't go battle with the quote unquote powers that be. I can't out recruit the SEC, but there's more money in my backyard and more people who care about my university's rep in my backyard with bigger pockets, in theory, if they care, if I can mouthpiece my way into that, if I can make it make sense to them, right? So it's an opportunity to be an equalizer, but that's one of those situations where leadership matters.
Yep.
Mouthpiece matters.
Yep.
And is your university willing to, and do you have the skill set as a coach to do more than just teach people how to run fast?
I mean, think about what you just said. So you think about the powers, the Villanovas of the world, the Pitts, the Seton Halls of the world. I mean,
it's an opportunity.
Those schools have a unbelievable legacy when you think about what they used to be able to do and the programs that they used to just churn out year after year. I mean, it's, you got to wonder, like, I mean, is anyone sitting there going, man, like, I'd love to go back to the glory days. That would be nice, you know?
Well, it's so funny, like to you guys' point, right? Like what I'm interested to see is when somebody is smart enough to actually use the words, right? Like right now, all NIL deal means is like extra scholarship money. That's really what anybody sees. See, I think they're missing the point, right? I'll pick a school. We'll make it up. The Southern University of Los Angeles, right? If I'm that school, I am literally going to use your name, image, and likeness to drive legitimate career moves and finances for both the school and yourself, right? Like, I mean, there's opportunities to put you in, you know, get your SAG card and put you in like commercials, right? And things that have like forever royalties. Like that's the part that's actually not being used yet, is the actual name, image, and likeness. And I say that because most of these kids are not reading these contracts.
Yeah.
Somebody's gonna sign an NIL deal for 10 grand and find out that they gave away their name, image, and likeness to, you know, to Reebok, to globally print t-shirts, you know, shoes, everything else, and they get 0% of it.
Yes. I said that 2 years ago.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. But to that point.
So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking to see when the names, the image, and the likenesses are actually being exploited, because that's coming at some point.
It'll
Nobody's gotten to that yet.
It'll all come, but that's the thing, right? Like what happens first? The rich get richer, right? The name brand programs are going to be the first people out front taking advantage of a name, image, and likeness. But to your point, if LA City Tech in downtown Los Angeles or in North Hollywood, Los Angeles cared enough, they could cripple that.
Absolutely.
Where they're located.
I mean, for sure.
Yes.
To touch on the international student body, there's a collective who has put up the first international, so in a foreign language, billboard per NIL. It's Penn State. It's a Penn State athletes. The company, the collective is Success with Honor, had put up the billboards in Toronto and Ontario. So it's the first of its kind in a foreign language in a foreign country. They've done some with basketball. I just got sent this article today from our NIL people.
It's literally people making things up as they go.
Yes.
And so what's happening is the collective is keeping the money for them in that country and then passing it that way versus, you know, we had, whatever. There's student athletes who were trying to collect small NILs from their country on the countryside and then having it deposited into a bank or given to their family to give to them, you know, and whatever the process is, I don't know. But like now they're going as far as that. There's basketball billboards. There's talk about in this article Kentucky forward who was able to license his name and image and likeness, a lucrative loophole that is netting him about $20,000 a month in just apparel sales.
Wow.
Hey,
Yeah.
listen, all the hiding money chicanery that goes on in white collar land is rushing in right now on the football basketball side. It's chaos.
Yeah.
But this is where we are. It's not going back the other way.
The genie is out of the proverbial bottle.
Yep.
And
I want to say this one last thing, and then definitely Madam Chu, we can move on. But just remember this: we have this untenable monster that is NIL because the NCAA and their corrupt self refuse to give the athletes $3,000 a year.
Yep. Pretty much.
Man, if you look at that price tag now, they really dropped the ball there.
Mm-hmm.
So
So
anyway,
I will say this. I think what NIL is going to lead to at the highest level when you talk about football, basketball, is that we're going to see programs literally explode and implode like that.
Sure.
I mean, it's going to become dizzy. I think we're going to get dizzy from the amount of, proverbial chaos, Clyde.
my favorite NIL story is still yours. And that's his name, right? The quarterback of Texas?
Yes. Yeah.
Signed $1 million NIL deal to graduate high school early and enroll at Ohio State. Never played there, didn't like it, left. Took the bag with him.
Exactly.
Best NIL story ever.
Unbelievable.
Ohio State literally paid $1 million to a kid that never played for them.
Yep.
Love it. Next.
True.
So, with our old wise beards, we're all rubbing them right now. We've got some advice from our life stories as to for the young coaches, and maybe not young in age, but young in coaching career. What is one must do and one must do not do as a young coach? Sorry about that.
Well, I got to go last time, so I guess I'll fall on the sword and I'll go first this time. I will say I'll take the lowest of all low-hanging fruit. If you've watched 4 episodes from this show, you've heard this said. If you don't do anything as a young or underexperienced coach, if you don't do anything, you had better get not but some mentors.
Mm-hmm.
Get you some parents real quick. Like one of the most important, they will stop you. They'll help you keep your job. They'll stop you from reinventing the wheel. All of those things. And if you ever, if you're one of those people that wants to fast track and advance yourself, the fastest way and best way to advance yourself in this sport is have good mentors. Absolutely do not do's. And I think I want to stay away from the obvious, right? So listen, don't diddle with the kids, don't do any of the truly obvious things. So I'm going to step away from that and say this. I think one of the most obvious things that you have to do, in particular, if you were a decorated athlete, is immediately stop thinking autobiographically. Once you man a stopwatch, who you were as an athlete is holistically irrelevant, and the athletes that you are coaching are not some percentage of you. They're not a younger version of you. They are in no way, shape, or form related to you, even if they look just like you, even if they have the same high school PBs as you. Coach what's in front of you, and don't compare it to who you are or were or what you think of yourself. Stick.
So as far as must do, and I've told this story ad nauseum, and it's one of those stories that, telling young coaches, and I've found myself telling my story, and after a while, I'm getting this glazed over look because they're looking at me like, you did this for free for 6
Yeah.
years?
I knew that was coming. Yes.
Like, what? Like, hell no. Like, I'm trying to get paid. Like, the whole idea of being an assistant at an NCAA D1 school is that you get paid, of course, right? Well, the one thing I will say is that if you do not respect the profession on the lowest possible level, if you do not respect what has to happen to keep a program afloat, and I'm talking about from the volunteers to the folks that work the grounds, the folks that, you know, the therapists, all those folks that keep that program propped up, the director of ops, the travel person, all those things. If you do not respect what it is that they do, you are not going to make it in this profession. And for me, I needed all that time, and to Lamar's point, I needed all that time to let the Kareem Street Thompson, professional athlete, everybody's catering to me, the phone's ringing off the hook, transition into, I need to get this pit raked. I need to have these hurdles set up for practice. I need to preempt the coach that I'm helping. I need to be the one already out there getting stuff ready. I need to make sure the cones are in place. I don't need to be waiting to be told what to do. And those are the little things that actually, help me get a leg up. When people look at my career and they wonder how I moved from being a volunteer to Missouri to Texas within 2 years, that's what happened. Because let's call it what it is. When you've had a storied career, people are automatically going to assume that you're going to walk into a room and expect to be catered to, right? So when you flip the script enough and you've shown that you can be selfless, you can be loyal, you can, be preemptive, you can be the yes man, then it changes the perspective completely. So of course your head coach is going to pick up the phone and say, hey, this dude is for real. He's got the credentials and he's also humble. And he's also going to help you, build that program. He identifies with the kids identify with him. And then things move in a very, very fast track at that point. But let's not ignore the 6 years of just slugging it out, and that's something that, again, like I said, people don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear that. But I feel like it's very important. There should be some sort of transition while you're moving from whatever it is you were doing before into being a full-time coach at the NCAA level.
I could not agree with you more. I don't want
Your internet done either, whatever you're trying to tell us.
there we call out the
while he's frozen.
and
While he's frozen there, while he's frozen there,
can y'all hear me and see me now?
We can hear
Yes.
you. Yes.
the governor didn't tell us his don't do.
Oh boy, I got a don't do, but you go ahead first.
Oh, okay.
I was just gonna say that, like, my first 2 years of college coaching, I had to actually sign a contract for $0.00 because they gave me ACC basketball tickets and they had value.
Mm-hmm.
So my first 3 years of college coaching, and I coached several conference champion level kids in the ACC. My first 3 years, I made a total of $10,000.
Yeah.
I'm gonna attempt to answer these questions and give my advice in a metaphor. Okay, you must diversify your portfolio. And what I mean by that is, if the only people you know are the people that do the exact same jobs that you do, you're doing this wrong.
Mm-hmm.
If you're an assistant and all you know relationships you have are with other assistants, you're doing this wrong. You need to find a respectful and classy way to build relationships with head coaches. You need to find a respectful and classy way to build relationships with administrators. Because I assure you, the associate AD picking up a phone on your behalf usually means a lot more than a coach.
Yep.
So you need to diversify your portfolio within whatever job you want. You need to find a way to show value beyond what your daily description is supposed to be, and that will serve you well. You need to humble yourself. You need to humble yourself. You better find a way to humble yourself. This profession, by definition, is humbling, and there are moments where you will need to swallow whatever pride you think you have and to see the bigger picture. So in those moments, just remember that you need to humble yourself in order to move to the next thing you're trying to do. The third must do, you must know your audience. That pertains to the kids, that pertains to who you're working for, that pertains to knowing when to speak and who to speak to. You need to be aware of who you're speaking around. You need to know your audience. So those are my three better do. Diversify your portfolio, be humble, and know your audience. The simplest way that I can say that you better not do, you better not be messy. If you're messy in this profession, I imagine in any profession, but especially in this profession, if you're messy, you're going to be exposed for being messy. In whatever regard you want to be, you're going to get exposed for being messy. You can't be messy with the kids. You can't be messy with your bosses. You can't be messy with administrators. You can't be out in the world talking trash about people you worked for or with. If you're messy, you can't be at the convention doing things you ain't supposed to be doing. Like, you can't be messy and have your reputation intact in this game. The world is too small. Too many people know people. Don't be messy. Like,
and even perceivably messy. You don't even have to do the act.
Perceivably messy is almost worse, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's one thing if you went out and did something and you leaked it to the world. It's a whole nother thing if you didn't do anything, but you just move so messy that everybody thinks away, right? So yeah, you need to not be messy. And within the bounds of professionalism, like this industry is fun, right? You meet incredible people. You build real relationships. Hell, people have met their husbands and wives, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not the messy ones. The messy ones have lost their husbands and wives, right? So just don't be messy.
Yeah.
So as far as a must not do, kind of went over this in my head, and it kind of touches on what you said, Clyde, but the one thing I think that young men and young women should understand in this profession is that there are multitude of trapdoors, of potholes. Like, there are a multitude of things where you can go wrong in this profession. The NCAA, as much as they have, lessened the rule book, and as much as we're hearing about, our esteemed president, wanting to make things a little more free and easy, there are still parameters that you have to work within. And, you know, we're no longer in an age and a generation where the head coach or the assistant coach with his or her group was judge, jury, executioner, and everything. That is no longer the case. And the more you understand that, the better. And I'll give an example, you know, when we talk about mental health, okay? There are now mechanisms in place where as soon as that comes up, as soon as that is brought up, you have to understand that it's time for you to take a backseat. You need to back off, okay?
I'm talking. Stop talking. Right? Just stop talking. Let somebody else talk.
You know, there are so many different areas now that our predecessors, even people that are in the profession now, had complete autonomy to make decisions for these young men and young women to decide, you know what, this athlete is no longer going to be a part of my team, X, Y, and Z. You cannot do that anymore. You know, as much as you're thinking it, as much as you're feeling it, you're out at the track and you're going, man, like, why am I dealing with this right now? It's not up to you anymore. And, you know, it really comes down to mentors, people that have been there and done that. You just happen to have a conversation and you bring up a situation and that mentor says, dude, I'm gonna give you one piece of advice, okay? Back away. Back away.
Stop talking.
And stop talking. Okay? So that's my advice. And it's, you know, again, it's not to say that you're being insensitive. It's not saying that you are, you know, that you don't care about said individuals or whatever. The bottom line is this: if you start to dabble in certain areas, if you start to move into areas where it's not your jurisdiction, you will find out real quick that you're probably not going to make it.
No. Big league, especially since Sir Lucius is not with us tonight. I think the audience would very, very much benefit from your responses to this particular question.
As if you thought I was keeping my mouth shut.
I
Especially on
was
this
just
one.
trying to be nice.
Hey, he's gonna have to watch the show to hear what I said. He didn't hear none of what I said. So.
No, I can hear all of it.
So a must do is you must put your ego aside. You must put your pride aside. You must put all of those things aside to know that even in your 5th day, 5th year, 15th year, whatever it is, you've got to be able to put your ego and pride aside to make sure that you're doing what you're doing for the right reason. Because too often, too fast, it becomes about what I want and not what's for the program, what's for the team, or what's for the student athlete themselves. Because it's not about you, because they are the ones who get you your paycheck. So that part. The must not do is you cannot take anything personal. And I am daily reminding myself of that. Like, you cannot take anything personal. Because again, it is not about you. Like, when your boss comes at you because something didn't get done, it's not about you necessarily not knowing that it was going to get done or doing it incorrectly or anything of that nature. It's just about the task getting done in itself. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, short and sweet to the point. Put your pride, ego aside, and don't take it personal, because it ain't about you.
Well said.
As I said, the audience would definitely benefit from your take on this. Good stuff.
Yeah. Definitely, you know, if anybody has any to add, please feel free to comment them, because anybody who watches or hears will go to YouTube and at least see that. or even when I post this on Twitter or Facebook, Instagram, whatever forum I get to put it up on this week, add it, because it's a thread. This is a valid thread, not a junk thread. So anyways, last part, and man, this isn't even a fair question. I feel like this is a jab at me right now, because I'm definitely taking this one personal. How do you all manage or balance the career advancement process with the be where your feet are mantra? And if you don't do that, then tell us what mantra you're living by.
Governor, you're first this time, buddy.
Oh boy. Here's what I'll do. I am finding now that, and it's kind of refreshing, a lot of athletes in the recruiting process are actually thinking about quality of life now. About,
yeah,
do I want to go somewhere where, you know, it's unfamiliar surroundings, it's, you know, I'm going to have to make new friends, it's, you know, challenging weather, I'm going to have to be indoors for 5 months, 6 months out of the year, you know, it's tantalizing, but do I really want to do that? And it's fun to me to hear athletes that are actually, you know, they're going through this in their head. They're actually thinking long and hard about making these decisions about where to go, where they're going to spend 4 to 5 years of their life. And so I kind of use that to say that if there's anything I've learned, and if anyone takes a look at my rise, you know, and my movement up the ladder, you could be at the greatest program, you could be at the program that is the most desirable in people's eyes, and it could be exactly the wrong place for you. And, you know, what I've found in this profession is that, you know, there are people that will give up what they value, some cases their integrity, some cases, you know, what they hold dear to themselves, just because they're affiliated with X, Y, and Z brand. And it does not make for a very happy person. It does not make for a very happy family. It does not make for a very happy existence, you know, and you know, I can say wholeheartedly that, you know, I've learned my lesson. And, you know, the thing that I've come to realize is that when it's your time, and when, you know, when it's your time, when the recognition is there and that opportunity presents itself, then you should go ahead and explore it. But as you are learning and building and evolving as a coach, as a mentor, do your job. Do your job to the best of your ability, because, you know, there is, I mean, at one point in my thinking, I was wondering, wow, if I take a step down, I've been to 3 Power 5 schools. I've been associated 3 Power 5 schools. I'm now going to a Group of 5 school. Does that mean that the Power 5 is just going to stop thinking that I exist? Are they going to stop realizing that I'm still the same coach? I still have the same credentials. I can still recruit with the best of them. And, you know, this is my 7th year here at UTSA. And I've realized that the pride that I take in what I do every single day, and the fact that in some people's eyes, there's no way on God's green earth that UTSA should be doing what they're doing, that means more to me, right? That means more to me, and it gives me like a groundswell of pride that I can make mountains out of molehills. right? So, I know that the recognition and my peers recognize what I've done. And I think at the same time, there's probably a reason why that opportunity hasn't come yet. And I just need to be patient, right? When you start trying to force the issue and you start to, now you're walking into minefields. Now you're walking into situations where, people that thought you were loyal or thought that you were, committed to a certain program, to a certain situation, now they're going to start looking at you differently. And you don't know when you're going to need those people to step in and go, yes, it's time. This young man has done his duty. By all means, he needs to go ahead and run a program. So that's how I look at that question. I hope it's not too long-winded, but that's what I think.
Everything on the LLC is too long-winded, dog. How do you manage, balance career advancement process with the be where your feet are mantra? Do your job and build relationships. Honestly, I've never really understood why it's so difficult for people to figure this one out. This is not one of these super complicated issues. At least it shouldn't be in our profession. If you sign up to do a job, do it and do it to the best of your ability. And if you want to be seen in a light that gets you the next job or the better job as you see it, as you perceive it, then you better be building relationships while being excellent at your job.
Yep.
If you're not doing those two things, there is no career advancement. And by the way, you suck at where you're at. Like it's really not that complicated. I think people make it complicated, or it seems to be complicated, because ultimately they're not very happy with who they are. They're not happy with their path. They're being shunned to their perspective. The world is against them from their perspective. So if you're not happy with yourself, I mean, that's a different issue. That's a different question. But do your job and build relationships.
That's simple.
It is. Big League, would you like to go or would you like me to go?
You can decide that.
Did y'all see that? Everybody pay attention? That is known as a parry or a dodge. I'll go. And definitely we need to put some money in the budget for some Robitussin for this panel. We're the most confident people.
Budget? You got a budget?
Yeah, it's budget, all right. All right. I had to succinct because this could be for forever, so I'm not going to do that. I think the first thing that has always befuddled me is people who are just hell-bent on these preconceived paths. Like, I'm gonna do this for 2 years, then do this, then do that. I have always been befuddled by that because there is literally no linear path at all in the realm of coaching. So to create some mythical linear path in your mind is just bizarre and so misguided that I don't even understand how we even start on that journey. But let's be clear, many, many people start on that journey, which is how we get to this kind of question. I think it's really, really simple. Make everything you touch better than it was when you found it, and do every single job that you are blessed to have to your very, very best ability. If you do those two things, right? If you master the space that you are currently occupying, you couldn't possibly chart yourself to move forward or on or up as fast as it will happen, right? If you're at a D2 school and you rake the very best pits and run the most well-run meets possible, right? Some Power 5 school is going to come to one of your meets one day, take notice of the fact that, man, I go to all these big meets at these big schools and everything's always delayed. But every time I come here, whatever I need to get done gets done, like get in, get out, and I'm out. I need to figure out who's doing right. I need to figure out who's doing that.
Yep.
You know, if you get menial tasks that you think have nothing to do with your level 1, 2, and 3 certificates and how great a coach you are, it's your ability to master, dominate, and appreciate menial tasks that prove that when I give you a bigger task, if we give you a bigger and much more responsible job, I know you're going to be successful at that because you worked as hard as you could at making sure that everybody's packets were right. Making sure that there are the right number of, listen, track coaches are petty.
Yes, we are.
If you give any track coach on this panel, and I know we are a subsection of all track coaches, if you give anybody on this panel a packet that has 40 numbers and 157 pins, we got issues, right? If you can't count to 4 and multiply it by the number of numbers you gave me, we have a problem. And if you're not willing to put them in groups of 4, you're just gonna dump 157 pins in my packet. I know how you're gonna be if I'm thinking of hiring you. I know that you are going to cut corners, rush through things, and not be thorough because you're trying to get on to the next thing. I know that sounds menial. I'm telling y'all, this is how it works.
Yep.
People notice, especially track coaches and our petty selves, we notice everything. And the people who are masters at the little things, the things that actually end up being important, like a time schedule, right? The people that master those things are the ones that people respect and want to hire and want to suggest for jobs. Because let's be clear, folks, this is the part that people don't really get. Most times, you get a job because somebody way above your pay grade suggested to somebody else way above your pay grade that you would be good for that job. It is not because you put it on, eggshell white card stock and you have the most beautifully laid out resume. That ain't it. Who you know and what they will say about you when you're not standing there is the most important part of advancement in coaching in general. So if you don't do exactly what Clyde said, which is build relationships, not false ones, not fake ones, not take, everybody knows Sir Lucius and everybody calls Sir Lucius for jobs, I better go become his friend. Good luck with that.
Mm-hmm.
All of us see you coming from 700 miles away. You're not really trying to get to know your potential mentor. You are just trying to get on somebody's resume, get somebody on your resume because you think that's going to fast track your career. It will fast track your career left. So for me, my simple one is if you're not good at low A, I'm not going to promote you to double A. So, and that doesn't mean like if you don't, everybody has to start at Division III or NAIA. That's not what I'm saying. But look, you could be a Power 5 assistant, but you don't have a group yet.
Yep.
How you respond to that probably dictates how soon you get a group. Right? Like, whether you're always like, when am I going to get a group? Like, oh, I don't even have nobody to coach. Like, I don't even know what I'm out here for. If that is your attitude, you're going to stay right there.
No, you won't. You'll lose your job.
Yes, that is very true. That is very true. So for me, the way I see this question is, I think the first part is a mandatory. I think you have to be exactly where your feet are and be dominant in that space if you have any expectations for career advancement. And I think to think otherwise is insane.
I think to build off of what Clyde was saying, and what everyone has said in essence, is being where your feet are and dominating that space, doing it 100%, doing it to your best abilities, all those things. But in the second breath, in the exhale of it, or whatever, however you want to say it, is being prepared for the opportunity. Because you can't close yourself off to say, well, I need to finish here, or I'm not ready for that, or why, like, that's not what I wanted to do. It's the opportunity is the opportunity is the opportunity, and you have to be ready and open to do it wherever it is, whoever it's with and whatnot. Because what you didn't think was for you could have been the best thing for you at the same time. So it's just being open to the opportunity for it to happen and allowing those things to happen. To a statement that was made earlier, and I don't remember who made it, so I apologize. I'm not sure where the linear thinking came from and whatnot. It's misconceiving, misperceiving, depends on who you're talking to and when. The goal, your objectives, thinking that that's how it has to be. And yeah, we want to make our goals tangible and we get them very specific, but there are certain things that you don't have control over, so those can't be the specifics. So writing inaccurate goals is how we get to linear thinking. I have to do this at this school to get to this school. Why? And why that time? So
I mean, all you have to do is study the resume of some of these people that are in the positions you think you want to know that that's nonsense. Just saying.
Right. No, absolutely. And it's funny, out of a very selfish thought, not recently, I said to myself, and this is coming from a motherly standpoint, not so much a professional standpoint, but it also could be applied there. I just wanted to put a GoPro on me and just from wake up to lay down. Because I've had this, and this isn't a comment of a humble brag or anything. This literally said, I'm trying to get where you are. I'm trying to be who you are. And I'm like, not everybody's built for this. And it's not because I'm strong, and it's not because I do this, that, and the third. It's because it's a lot that encompasses, and it keeps a lot. To maintain what this is doing right now is a lot. So make your own, be your own, do your own. And that's how you be where your feet are. And that's how you create your own happiness. So anyways, that's my 2 cents. So back to our roots. I like it. This is some really good stuff. So the info that you all came for, because this is going to be the best info of the night, is Lamar from Afar's Would You Rather. And let's be real. So.
Oh boy, Sir Lucia's going to be upset that he missed this, I'm sure.
Right? I mean, you waited an hour and 15 minutes for this, so here we go. You ready, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you rather eat a worm or lick a slug?
Eat a worm. Not the second one's not even a thought.
Would you rather get caught picking your nose or farting?
Farting. 100%.
Would you rather be the size of an elephant or the size of an ant?
An elephant.
Would you rather go to the Hall of Fame dinner or the Bowerman dinner?
Do I
true
have
question.
to eat?
This is a true
Do I
question.
have to eat the food?
See, that is the what. That is why we're asking the question.
The Bowerman dinner.
They do be serving the prime rib. That is clutch. That is usually why Reva and I are running to the front of the line once Bowerman starts playing the song. Would you rather forget your sandals or your towel at the beach?
I think I would rather. Am I naked if I forgot my towel?
Oh my gosh.
I already knew that he was going to take it
Oh
there.
my god.
I'm just trying to
do
make
that.
sure that like I'm
No.
understanding the question. I'd much rather
No.
I'd rather lose the towel than lose my flip flops. I got you.
Would you rather live in a world of chocolate or in a world of gummies?
Ooh, a world of gummies.
Ew.
Would you rather have a monkey or a robot?
What am I, Michael Jackson? I'm good off of bubbles. I'll take a robot, please.
Oh my goodness. All right, gentlemen. The would you rather is yours.
I'm so confused right
Oh
now.
my God. So this is gonna be so mad he missed this.
No, he's
nonsense.
gonna say you processed it again. I thought those were funny.
This woman's asking me about Bubbles the monkey. Anyway. They were good, Coach Chu.
I have a good one for you, sir. Since we are almost to November and convention is upon us, would you rather continue to embarrass people in spades at the convention or
You guys already retired. You can't.
retire?
You said or retire?
Or retire.
Listen, I have already made this clear. We are retired and we will be hosting an LLC spades tournament for which we will have on our Duke Tango wigs and be making fun of people. But we are done playing spades and ruining lives because listen, I can't. I'm trying to do good in the world, and us playing spades against other track and field coaches in this country has been doing nothing but harm to young moldable minds.
This is true, but may I throw this out?
See, here he comes.
No. May I throw this out because it was. I was watching. You know, I got some downtime, right? I was watching The Karate Kid. Are you sweeping the leg? No. But in one of the, I think it was the movie, the third movie, the tournament happened, and all Daniel had to do was meet in the final. So if we host the tournament and somebody wins it, what they could win is a shot at the throne. And then at least they earned it, right?
Listen to me. If you win the playoffs, you don't get to play Tom Brady for all 7 of his rings.
I understand that. It'd be a 2023 championship. It's not, the crown.
I have progressed mentally beyond being a player in these games any longer.
All right.
Okay. The last time we played, if you remember correctly, I said specifically, I don't even want to do this. I don't want to be here. But y'all keep pulling the cape and poking the bear. So this is what's gonna happen.
That is a partial truth, because the last time we played, I was the one that said I don't want to do this, and I got
we got drug kicking and screaming into thrashing another group of young people.
This is true.
I'm done.
True.
I want to uplift. I want to help. I want to say, hey, don't play that. Don't play that.
All right. Would you rather be the legendary coach or the legendary athlete?
Man, I'm not even gonna lie to you. I very, very rarely show any signs of any legitimate ego. Like, that's just really not how I'm wired, and all three of you know me very well in that regard. But in this question is very easy to me. I would much rather be Kareem Abdul-Jabbar than John Wooden.
Okay.
Like, I have the utmost respect for the coaching profession, obviously. But if my choices are to be, insert, like, look, if I have a choice between being Michael Johnson or Clyde Hart, I'll take Michael Johnson.
Okay.
It's a good question.
That was a really good question. I actually like that one a lot.
All right. Well, you made it.
Yes.
Good for you.
I did. I feel like you plot and plan the hardest for me.
Oh my gosh. Anyways, moving on to heartbeat props. I mean, do we do a blanket one?
And
yes.
I feel like that is a
Yes.
Yeah. So our heartbeat props go out to Sir Lucius, aka Coach Holloway, aka the GOAT, aka the Godfather, aka the guy who just keeps winning. Things are going on right now, and if he has to take a step back to make sure his business gets taken care of, then we got to make sure he's a good. So everybody needs to. I'm not going to say needs. That's a strong word. If everybody's so willing, please give him a second of your thoughts, prayers, mojo, good vibes, whatever word it is you choose to give to him, and just show him a little bit of extra love, more than you already do. Because sometimes
this is not the time for hate.
Yeah.
This is not the time to be a hater.
No comments are necessary. Just like, it's not, well, if I. It ain't even about that. Just one time for the one time. So, Sir Lucius, we got you. Whatever you need, even if it's pick up the pen, we got you. So, pick up the pen to the next portal kid. Sorry, I had to do it. Anyways, all right, everyone. Well, as Halloween approaches, we have another show for Halloween. Just kidding. We'll talk about Halloween next week. I'm like, I don't even know what day it is. All right, everyone. Have a great week. We'll see each other soon.
I feel like costumes are appropriate.
Oh, dang. So we're gonna go from Christmas sweaters to costumes.
I mean, I'm much more into the Halloween I don't even know
vibe.
the vibe.
All right, we'll have to.
I feel like LLC and costume, it kind of has to happen.
Oh my goodness. Okay. We'll figure that out. Sounds good.
Sounds like a plan, Stan. Oh wait, no, LLC will come out and then it'll be Halloween and then it's the next one. Yeah, so I lied. Happy Halloween. Have fun. Yeah. Don't eat the candy with the holes in it. So see you guys later. Bye everyone.
Ciao.
When the lights come on, the road just get to running. When the lights come on, opponents mess the plumbing. Heard you like it warm, hot, knife the butter. Truth pin them hard, knock them off that rebuttal. Tsunami, tidal wave to your puddle. Tough love, punch you in the arms, little brothers. Athletics, LLC, there's no others. Track and fields, place and repeal to go further. Hey, Hey, Wile E. Coyote is road runners. Feels like you know us, you've been with us the whole summer. If not for this quarantine, these four corners wouldn't be here, but we here, so start learning. You gotta earn your stripes, gotta get your scars. Show you how to fight, but show us who you are. You lack experience, but still you wanna talk. And who is actually talking to? Your circle's kinda small. Heads prevail when the backbone's strong. Gotta keep it coming, no, it won't last long. Pass and fail, then sell the sad song. And if you don't check yourself, then that's wrong. Just trying to give you the real that you asked for. So why you keep cutting us off to ask more? We put it in slow-mo, but you fast forward. Athletics LLC, the task force.